Um, hello. My name is Samid Mahmood Khan. I will be presenting our assignment two, which is RMG sector on behalf of non-fungible team. The RMG sector of Bangladesh has developed by a lot within very little time. We have made momentous achievements globally as well. One of which was receiving the status of the largest exporter of garment goods. The RMG sector in Bangladesh constitutes a huge number of employment in the country, as well as contributes a huge number to our GDP as well. Before moving on to a brief explanation about the RMG sector, I shall start how the history led to such a big RMG sector. The history of Bangladesh RMG sector was started by when Daewoo Corporation from South Korea uh, invested in Bangladesh and collaborated with the Desh Corporation. Their main reason for investing was the company, although was a very huge firm, they were suffering severely from the quota system back then. So they planned to develop a production base in Bangladesh, as Bangladesh was as a developing country back then. It had people who were interested to work for foreign companies. Bangladesh got the opportunity to export without restrictions, and also teamed up, and that is one of the reasons the Daewoo Corporation teamed up with Dish Garments. Dish Garments was founded in 1979, and they sent 130 employees to Daewoo's factory, which was located in South Korea. Um, the Daewoo Corporation groomed them in an 8-month intensive training course. After a few years, all these trainees actually left Dish Limited to find themselves founding new companies, which were basically garment factories. And some also got affiliated with the trading business. So this was the inception of Bangladesh's garment industry. Another thing that also put an effect in creating our industry was when those employees started disseminating knowledge, started imparting their skills they learned from the South Korean company Daewoo Corporation. This led to a greater number of people becoming interested to work for garment industries. Um, Data shows that the industry grew at a rate of 22% during the 1990s, which is a very good progress for Bangladesh as a country burdened with poverty back then. Besides this, the country also started their journey. And from a global perspective, that is one of the reasons of that is the relocation of production in the garment industry. The global economy back then was dominated by developed nations, which is still the case. The developed nations had a lot of taxation restrictions, as well as higher trade tariffs and environmental damage costs, which led them to think of suppliers worldwide, and mostly they wanted those suppliers to be from developing nations. Bangladesh was a country back then burdened with poverty, so they the developed countries were interested in countries like Bangladesh because they thought there are very little restrictions when it came to doing business with us. So they tried to curb their industrial revolution in their own country and tried to set up business with the developing nations such as Bangladesh. Another reason, and which was also another part of cutting costs, was the lower wage rate This was also a very good reason for the relocation of garment production of developed nations to Bangladesh. People of Bangladesh back then were very less aware about human rights, let alone labor laws. So this was a very good opportunity for foreign countries to pour in investing in Bangladesh's garment industry. Uh, this also led to the gradual expansion of garment factories. Some The gradual expansion basically happened because the Bangladesh, from a Bangladeshi perspective, from a Bangladesh's perspective, as a South Asian perspective, Bangladesh was very much compatible with the industry because we had a huge population back then. People were interested to work. The economy was yet to develop from a war-torn situation. And this needed very little this needed very little textbook knowledge, rather needed a huge amount of physical labor to be handled by. So this made Bangladesh a very compatible nation for setting up garment factories. Moving on to the growth mechanism that led us to the stage we are now. The first factor of our growth mechanism was the training, which kickstarted the garment industry. I've already told that the Desh collaboration picked 130 applicants from our country and trained them for 8 months. This made them aware about factory management, international procurement, and international marketing. But some of them were also had sufficient financial capital to establish their own garment factories, and this led to setting up new businesses in our country rather than working for Daewoo Corporation. And some of them also became garment traders. The second form factor was basically imparting knowledge about the doctrines they got from the Korean company. This also proved very essential in expanding our garments industry. Traders helped manufacturers gain knowledge regarding the industry. The traders were very important agents in our industry. They collaborated. The collaboration of manufacturers with traders reduced transactional costs and the risk of manufacturers' bankruptcy. Manufacturers at first would have very little skill to affiliate themselves in the foreign market, and that is where the traders actually came in. They eased their way to enter the foreign market. That is how the traders usually worked, and they also had a very important contribution in setting up the business and the booming of the industrial garments industry. Another important point was the management that was very important to set up newly funded industries, because when Bangladesh started its first industries, the manpower was very low, and although the manpower was low, the entrepreneurs were mostly very highly trained and highly talented. They were very educated back then, so they could run for example, they could run a company of 20 to 30 people. But when the manpower increased, when more people were into this garments industry as laborers or as entrepreneurs, there was a huge demand for a better and solid management system. This is one of the management system was very important to set up a company that competes with the rest of the companies around the world. Another uh, factor, which was enterprise growth, which this sustained by highly educated entrepreneurs. So these were the basic points that helped the industry grow to the point where we are right now. The current scenario of the RMG sector, which is firstly, I'm going to talk a bit about the pro-COVID affairs, because the current scenario doesn't fully reflect our RMG sector. So the pro-COVID affairs were basically before 2019, or at this until the start of 2019. Before COVID, the industry had held 6.8% of the global apparel market. The sector used to constitute 84% of total net exports of our gross national product. Also, it basically allowed a huge number of employees to work. The number of employees that worked under various RMG industries in Bangladesh were around 2.5 million. And something that is more newsworthy is 6.8% of them were women. But the post-COVID affairs talk about the timeline of from to mid 2019 to where we are right now. So when the COVID struck, this led to huge number of cancellation in orders of garment goods. The industry had a 14% decline in growth of fiscal year July 2019 to April 2020. More than 2.7 billion worth of garments were cancelled. This also the retailers that this also raised the question, which was who's to blame? The retailers that design the market, and the retailers that design and market the clothes and reap much of the profits, or the factories that sew them together. If we talk about the future of RMG sector, we have to count in a few factors. While the incidents like Rana Plaza and various labor law breaking incidents created quite a picture of Bangladesh in foreign, in global affairs, Bangladesh has sustained its garments industry a lot. RMG industry as unsustainable, and RMG industry recently leads in green RMG, which is the increase of green RMG. This green RMG basically refers to environmentally sustainable production practices and production practices. This basically includes waste management, energy efficiency, and water conservation. A very burning issue for burning issue right now is climate change, and this occupies a lot for climate change. Other than this, Bangladesh also beat a lot of rivals in various global indices. One of which was becoming the highest, having the highest number of LEED certified factories. From the data, we can see that Bangladesh has 67 LEED certified, 91 LEED certified factories, among which another alarming news is that the 10 highest rated LEED certified factories, among the 10 highest rated LEED certified factories, Bangladesh has 6 of them. The future of RMG industry, if you try to forecast, if you try to project what the future will be of our RMG sector, we have to also bring in another point, which is the LDC graduation. Bangladesh is expected to graduate from an LDC status country somewhere around 2024. This will be a very proud moment for the whole nation, but also will take away a lot of foreign investment and a lot of foreign. This will take away a lot of foreign funding in various projects of Bangladesh. So what we need is we have to strengthen. The government has to strengthen their ties with various trade communities worldwide, so we can achieve we can achieve lesser uh, trade tariffs, and also we can help foreign factories set up businesses more and more into our country. Um, Another recommendation would be the country's policymakers to have a proactive stance in the World Trade Organization. This might create a spillover effect or countrywide. As the industry will boom further, people will more be intrigued in starting garments businesses. So this is basically this is the total picture of our RMG sector from since 1979 to current 2021. Thank you.